Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the Calista Club interview series. This is our first live interview because our guest is with me in the room. Good morning, Serge.
Good morning, Raja.
It's wonderful not to have a screen between us, I have to say. Very happy to welcome you for this interview that's going to be very fast, but very efficient in terms of what it means to head and organize governance in a family business. And you are the best person we could ever think of to do so. Not so because you're the chairman of Calista, but because you are the recently exited chairman of the Bamberg Group. And for those of you who don't know Bamberg, it's a multi-generational international business that spans industry and finance, 8 generations, if I'm correct.
Correct.
And on top of that, Serge, you hold a few board membership seats at Sotheby's, at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and not least Château Latour. Quite an impressive background in that sense, and therefore I wanted to ask you 3 questions, unless I forgot something about your background.
No, perfect.
Great. Well, the first question is, you have a lifetime of experience and expertise in terms of family governance. What have been for you the most challenging aspects, and what are the risks that you were looking out for the most during your career?
My feeling, Raja, is that the on a family business most important challenge is time, duration. The problem in the family is there are very few family that have the ability, family business, to go through the 3rd generation, which is like a glass roof or glass ceiling, very well known. You know, there is a famous American sentence that says short leaves to short leaves in 3 generations. So usually you have one that build the business, there's the one that consolidate, and the 3rd one that destroy the business. So the question is that how do you manage the time? And to my experience so far, the best answer to manage that risk, there is one word, critical word, is governance.
Mm-hmm. And governance means organizing the decision-making processes and the internal operations, or what are the risks that you look out for the most in that sense, in terms of family governance?
The risk, it's rather well identified, the critical time or the critical risk you have in a family story. Basically, you have, in our case, for instance, we had a country risk, because we had developed activities, very strong activity in South America, and some problem happened in the 50s, and it was a big shock for the family. So that's a country risk. Usually also you have a generational risk.
Mm-hmm.
That means when you're moving from one generation to another. There is a 3rd risk. I'm talking about the most recognized risk. The 3rd one is the activity. When you sell your activity, when you sell the business, usually the family tends to explode, to disappear, because in a way the business is the link, is the linking beam between all of them. So my answer, or I had the feeling when I talk with my colleagues that running also family business, is that there is 1 or 2 critical ideas that you have to put in place. The first one probably is diversification. In our case, it's been, to make a very clear example, we were in industry, the beer business and industry in South America, and we decided also to be in finance in the States. So, we're really talking about diversification in terms of geography, but also in terms of business. That's one of the answer. Now, the question related more with innovation. How do we innovate in family business? Well, first, it's not so obvious to innovate because the family by definition is a little bit conservative. Mm-hmm. Your chance to do things like you used to. But the company that today family succeed, is that they've been able to innovate, and probably on double dimension. One is the ability to promote the talented people in your family. Uh-huh. Are you able to promote the talented people, not exclusively the big shareholder? So it sounds like a simple question, but I tell you, to do it, to manage that process, it's challenging. And the second key matter, I think it's an organizational matter. It's not only governance, as I mentioned earlier on. It's also related with applying the modern organizational concept to your family.
Does this apply? Because I wanted to ask you, this was about all the family business, but when it comes to the family office, so the arm that manages the wealth of the family, is it the same problematic and the same way to tackle challenges?
First, I like the idea of having a family office. I like the idea that on the side of the business there is another platform that manage the other thing. And what is the other thing? Normally, if you've done things correctly, the business is there to generate wealth creation.
Yeah.
And the family office is there to generate wealth preservation.
Oh, I like that. I think we're going to quote you on this several times.
You know, so it's and that balance, in a way, you're managing the risk and you're managing expectation and you're managing the time, as we say earlier on. So wealth creation on one side, and the risk could be taken at the level of the business, and the family office, probably one of its main job is wealth preservation, and it's a critical one to give the chance for the family business to go through time.
And so in general, you talk about unity in family governance and introducing innovation, but I know you're also quite keen on sustainability, but with your own definition. What does it mean in your case? And what are the sustainability initiatives that you launched for the family? And I'm happy if you give us specific examples. After 8 years, you were the chairman of the...
Yeah. But the two questions you're asking are linked. I mean, unity and sustainability, and I'm going to share that with you, at least under our perspective. In the model we develop at the Ganay Group, we develop a model with a double dimension. One is performance, on one axis performance, and the other axis is unity. Performance for a family business, under my definition, is non-negotiable. Because, you know, if you're talking about a family business and there is no performance in the business, the show won't last very long, okay? So the performance has to be there, and we could discuss, not today, about what is the definition of performance in the family business. But then, and it's critical. So I'm saying non-negotiable. Performance is non-negotiable. But there is a second dimension, which is called unity. That's the one you're asking the question, which is not negotiable too. Because the challenge for a family business, including in the work, that's probably part of the work of the family office, it's to manage that balance or optimize that double axe, that double dimension. Performance on one side and unity on the other side. Why? Because unity, more you go down the road, more the time go for second, third, fourth, fifth generation. Obviously, you're confronted with a demographic issue. You have more and more shareholders, you have more and more people around the table, and then you need to have a system that permit, that support that unity. Is it communication? Is it platform? At least something you keep it in mind and make sure that the glue is there, that you keep the family united down the road, and it's efficient because you have more shareholder on the table and you're keeping the dry powder for business investments. And that's where the sustainability issue came in. Now, if you're talking about anyone under 30 years old today, as I said for performance, but for them sustainability is non-negotiable. Right. How are we going to discuss about the fact that you want the ESG norms to be applied? In our case, for instance, it's another route, but we had quite a few non-profit activity going on foundation. And I decided that in the platform of the Ganay Group, we're going to reintegrate all those activity, not being on the side, not being a secondary activity, but being primary activity inside at the heart of in the middle of the organization. So ESG, sustainability, non-profit activity, social responsibility. You know, and you know, maybe the family business is not the bad platform. It's not the bad organization to do so because for X and Y reason. But the main reason is because they have the time, and sustainability need time. And my feeling, to conclude on that one, is that because I was talking about performance, unity and sustainability, that's your question, is that which I think we enter now really a new time where the or profit or sustainability is over, finished.
That's
now
true.
it's
no more a trade-off. We
no,
don't have
it's
to
an
choose.
and.
Mm-hmm.
It's an and with its profit and sustainability, and that's going to be the trend for the coming years. Definitely.
It's a wonderful conclusion. I think, however, we only started to scratch the surface, Serge. So I hope that some of our family office friends will want to meet you and dig into this topic much deeper. But at least you gave us a bit of a frame of reference going forward. So thank you for that. And we may ask you to publish much more detailed papers on this, because I think family governance, whether for the business or the family office, is key for all our investor community at Calista. Thank you so much, Serge.
Thank you, Rajan.
And let's keep the live interviews live.